What's the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys are having a great and exceptional Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. It's another beautiful day to be alive, even though the weather around the country is a little dreary. But hey, we're going to, now see what it's like to live in the Pacific Northwest with all this rain and a little cold weather and all that good stuff. But it's all good in the neighborhood. We got to do what we have to do at the end of the day to make it through. All right. Today's word of the day is extremist, and someone with extreme views. Usually people that are in politics. Now, I chose this word today because I want you to become extremist to the things that you love, and not in a violent way, not in a political way. You can't have politics without economics, but be extreme about what you love to do. Be extreme about the passions that fuel you in life outside of the mundane day-to-day stuff. The reason why I say that is because I was listening to EYL University, and Ian Dunlap said a great thing, and he said, and I quote, he's like, the saddest thing in today's world is that a lot of people post things that make them look like they have the best life on the planet on social media. But then if you just see them on a regular day-to-day, whether they work on a job, whether they own a business, whether they're a stay-at-home parent, or whatever, or they might even be living off a disability, whatever the case may be, they might be the most miserable people that you ever see or meet in your whole life. And I agree with that statement. And I think as the cost of living goes up, you're going to see more and more of that happen on a regular basis. I'm from the DMV area, and I was reading an article earlier this morning about how Northern Virginia, which is the most expensive part of the state of Virginia that I'm from, is losing a lot of people. And now they make it sound like, of course, they try to take it up from a political angle. And I'm like, this has been happening since I can remember as an adult. When I left high school, George Bush was the president. George Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden. Those have been the people that have been the president since I've been of legal age as an adult. So since I've been 18 years old. So that's why I'll go off of that. So I'm from the Northern Virginia area. People have been leaving the Northern Virginia area for a long time. Majority of people that lived in the Northern Virginia area, even DC or Maryland, it's because of their job and their career. That's why I said the ultimate money move is the one that can bring you happiness. So a lot of times you have a lot of people. That's probably one of the biggest problems of the DMV area, is that you have a lot of people that are living in a place in other parts of the country too. But I'm just going to speak about where I'm from. They're living in a place solely based on their income needs, solely based on their job. There's other parts of the country or other parts of the world they would love to live in, but they cannot live there because they cannot afford to live there. Or if they could afford to live there, they most likely would just scrape by. But more and more metropolitan areas like the DMV, not just the DMV, but are becoming so expensive that it's not financially feasible for a lot of people to live in anymore unless you are making almost 200 grand, or you as a couple are making 200 grand, or you're living like a lot of people who immigrate to the United States. You have 15 people living in a house. It's like that in New York. It's like that in Boston. It's like that in all of California. And it's like that in the DMV. It's like that in Miami now. It's getting like that in all major metropolitan cities across the United States. That's why the power of, for working people to be able to pass down two things, specifically real estate, businesses, and I even named a third thing, a good life insurance policy can help you create, furnish and create a new generation of wealthy people. Now, is it 100% accurate? No, but what is in this life? A job's not 100% accurate. A business is not 100% accurate. Hey, being in a quote unquote successful relationship, there's no guarantees with that. Whether you marry somebody, you have kids with them, whatever, or you're just in a relationship with them, there's no 100%. We all gamble in this life. We all invest in this life, whether we realize it or not. Unless we're just a homeless person living on the street and just giving up on life, I might have some mental health issues. But for your everyday working people and people trying to start businesses, people running successful businesses, you are running a risk you're gambling every single day of your life. Period. Whether you want to believe that or not, you're making some sort of investment, if not in yourself, in somebody else. Every time you buy something, you're investing in somebody else. Okay, so that's why it behooves people. I remember when this concept was first brought to me back in my early 20s, and it was weird to me then. Of course, makes sense to me now. This great woman named Shirley told me at my job at the time. She started investing into the stock market. She's like, well, I invest. It's simple. I invest in the companies that, and this is back in 2005, 2006, when it wasn't that popular, especially in the black community, to invest in the stock market like that outside of having a 401k, because it was mandatory by your employer, because it's good for the economy. And and it's good for working people, but it's good for the economy because that means money is constantly being pumped into the U.S. stock market. So I leave it at that. But anyways, um, so she said she would buy products from companies like she had a credit card with Exxon, and she always got gas from Exxon. And because the grocery store that she goes to gave her a couple of gas points, so it just made sense for her to invest in Exxon. I do the same thing. I got a business credit card with Exxon. The grocery store I go to gives me gas points with Exxon, so I don't like if I can. You're gonna pay high price. I don't know a time when food prices weren't expensive. It's just gotten way worse now. But so with that being said, I utilize that method, and of course I start to do the research on the company and see if the stock is going to take off or if it's even worth the investment. But that's called doing your due diligence. It's called doing your research. That's just what it's all about. But anyways, moral of the story is be extreme about the lifestyle that you want to live. And, as I've turned 40 years old this year, I'm not in a midlife crisis, but I am in a state of, man, this is like what's going on now. It's like, this isn't me. I have things to work on things I need to pay attention to, even though there's so many life happens. You can plan all you want to, life is going to happen. And I've learned that the most in this last 3 years of life, with the pandemic, dog passing away, family members passing away, life is going to happen, so whether we plan for it, we don't plan for it, life is going to happen. All right. It's that continuously train that keeps chugging along until we breathe our last breath and see our last sight. But anyways, moral of the story is be extreme about the lifestyle you want to live. As long as you're not trying to hurt anybody, break any laws, be extreme in that, because that's the best thing in life that makes people get up and smile every day. But a lot of people it's like, in those moments, hey, I'm guilty of this myself. Those moments where I can get online and post where I'm at and what I'm doing, I'm enjoying a good moment. I've had 2023 has been a great year. I've had my fun for 2023. For finally going to a foreign country, for seeing Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa, Too Short and live in person, going to a bunch of comedy shows. I got a lot of bucket list things, going to check out some other rental places to buy real estate, like in Jackson, Mississippi. So 2023, for the most part, even though things are kind of crazy now, it's been a great year in that aspect. It's been a bucket list year. And I finally knocked some things off. Finally got to use my passport. It was a crazy thing. I got my passport back in 2010 and never used it. And I remember having to renew it before the shutdown happened. I was lucky to do that before the pandemic officially happened. I think it was February 2020 when I had to go to the post office and do what I had to do. And then luckily, it's towards the end of 2020. I didn't have any plans to leave the country at the time. And that's why I said this year, no, it was last year. It was the beginning of this year. I said, no, it's time for me to finally, it hit me when I turned 40 years old. It's time for you to start knocking some things off in life that are part of your bucket list. And going to Toronto, Canada was one of those things. And I can't wait to go back. Canada's a beautiful country. Toronto's a beautiful city. The energy there is great, just as diverse as most major metropolitan areas in the United States. So it was a good experience. All right. Today's quote of the day is by P. Diddy. He says, pay attention to whom your energy increases and decreases around. That's the universe giving you a hint of who you should embrace and who you should keep away from you. And that's what it is. I don't care what your status is. I don't care how you look, man or female. But if your energy is off, I can't mess with you. And you could have a good heart. There's a lot of people with good heart, but they have crazy energy that just doesn't vibe with your energy. Or people would say jive with your energy. And guess what? That's not the end of the world. All right. So it's just hey, not saying that person's a bad person. Just hey, you're not for me. That's all it is. You're not for me. And we'll keep it, just keep it moving. I wish you, the best of luck in any future endeavors. But if somebody's not for you, it's not even just a relationship. It's friendships. A lot of people. And as you get older, I've always been careful of the people that I have around me, especially other men. But as I get older, there's less and less men that I want to vibe with or jive with, unless there's some business involved, because the energy is usually pretty off, and it's usually arrogant prick energy that's usually happening nowadays because everybody thinks they're so freaking special. But anyways, on that note, do the great 3 things: like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day, and as I always say, make money move so you're gonna live, bro, like a fool.